키토 다이어트에 대해 들어보셨나요? 국내에서는 저탄고지'라는 이름으로 더 널리 알려진 키토제닉 다이어트는 탄수화물 대신 지방을 에너지원으로 사용하도록 유도하는 식단입니다. 혈당관리와 체지방감소효과가 뛰어나다고 알려지면서 이 식단의 관심은 날이 갈수록 높아지고 있습니다. 하지만 단지 지방만 많이 먹고 탄수화물을 줄인다고 해서 그 효과가 곧바로 나타나는 것은 아닙니다. 이에 대해 캔베리 박사는 말합니다.
So, first and foremost, the ketogenic way of eating is low carb. That's very important for the ketogenic diet to work. There are essential fatty acids that you have to have. If you don't get them for a long enough period of time, you will get sick, you will suffer, and you will die. There are essential amino acids found in proteins that if you don't get them for a long enough period of time, you will get sick, you will suffer, and you'll die eventually because you have to have certain fats. You have to have certain proteins for your human body to function properly. Now, what you may not know is that there is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. There are no such thing as essential sugars, no such thing as essential starches. They don't exist. There is no such thing. You could take a human being and lock them up and feed them only fat and protein for the rest of their life, and they would do great. They would thrive. They would be vibrant and vigorous and happy because there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. So the ketogenic way of eating takes advantage of this because we know that carbohydrates can have negative effects in your body if you eat too many of them. And so the ketogenic diet is a very low carbohydrate diet. So it's also a very high healthy fat diet. And so in the ketogenic way of eating, you'll get to enjoy lots of healthy high fat foods. And that's because the fat does multiple things for you, okay? Now, there are bad fats that you should avoid at all costs. Fats such as canola oil, corn oil, soybean oil, those are bad, okay? Safflower oil, any hydrogenated oil you need to avoid because they're very bad for you. You need to avoid margarine. I can't believe it's not butter, country crock, any fake oil substitute, Crisco or any of the hydrogenated shortenings, they're not good for you. They're bad for you. You need to stop eating them immediately. And you're going to replace them with good, healthy fats like butter, like avocado oil, like lard, like olive oil. All of these fats are actually good for you, and you can enjoy them as much as you want on a ketogenic way of eating. These fats do multiple good things in your body. The next thing that you need to know about the ketogenic diet is that it's about whole, real foods. The ketogenic diet is not about pre-packaged Weight Watcher or lean cuisine frozen dinners that you might call them pseudo dinners because there's really no actual nutrition in them. The ketogenic way of eating is not about any product. There's no product for you to buy that you need to do keto right. You don't have to buy keto shakes or powders or bars. You don't have to buy Atkins anything. You don't have to buy low carb, high fat anything. There are no products that someone who's truly teaching you about the real ketogenic way of eating is ever going to recommend to you, okay? So if anybody's trying to sell you exogenous ketones, that's not real keto. If they're trying to sell you bars, shakes, pills, powders, that's not real keto. The ketogenic way of eating is about eating real whole foods. If you can afford organic and grass-fed, that's great, buy those. If you can't afford those yet, that's okay. You can still keto, okay? You can still do keto on a budget. You can do keto for cheap if you need to right now. We always want you to buy the best quality whole foods, organic foods that you can afford. But if you can't afford those yet, you can still keto.
키토 다이어트의 기본적인 영양소 섭취 비율은 탄수화물 1, 단백질 2, 지방 7입니다. 키토제닉 식단을 처음 시작할 때 자주 보이는 실수는 이렇게 탄단지 비율만을 생각하는 것입니다. 하지만 그보다 더 중요한 것이 있습니다. 그것은 바로 식품의 종류인데요. 키토 다이어트는 가공되지 않은 자연식품을 먹는 것이 주요 원칙 중 하나입니다. 많은 분들이 이것을 간과하여 잘못된 음식을 선택하고 그 결과 큰 효과를 보지 못해 포기하기도 합니다. 아직 우리나라에는 캔베리 박사가 언급한 키토 전용 제품이 미국보다 다양하지 않지만 최근에는 국내에서도 저탄고지 다이어트를 하는 분들을 타겟으로 하는 제품들이 많이 출시되고 있습니다. 밥 대신 계란을 사용한 키토 김밥, 그리고 버터 커피, 당류를 줄인 소스가 대표적이고요. 키토제닉 커뮤니티에서 자주 보이는 것은 밀가루 대신 아몬드 가루나 차전 자피가루로 빵을 만드는 키토 베이킹입니다. 제가 예시로 든 식품들은 영양소 비율 면에서는 그럴싸하지만 엄밀히 따지면 키토제닉에 적합하다고 할 수 없습니다. 때에 따라서는 이런 제품을 먹을 수도 있겠지만 이 식단의 효과를 제대로 체감하고 싶다면 키토라는 이름이 들어간 가공식품이 아닌 자연식품을 선택하세요.
The ketogenic diet is also the most ancestrally appropriate, DNA appropriate diet that a human being can eat. And I tell people this example, if you could time travel back in time 50,000 years, okay? And you're in the northern US, you're in Canada, you're in northern Europe, you're in anywhere in the northern or very southern latitudes, what do you think that you and your ancestors would eat every day? You would eat meat and veg. You would eat mostly meat in many months out of the year. You would eat meat and veg some other months of the year. And maybe for 1 or 2 months out of the year, you'd have some fruit or some berries to eat. But on the whole, the human DNA and the human ancestry just knows what to do with a ketogenic diet because it's very ancestrally appropriate. Human beings have been eating a ketogenic diet for millions of years. This is not a fad diet. This is not some new, weird, unheard of thing. Humans have been eating this way since the beginning of time and even before. So in that respect, a lot of people like to call keto the latest fad diet, and that's kind of silly and short-sighted, sophomoric even. The ketogenic diet has been around forever and will be around forever. What's actually the fad diet is the diet that we've been told to eat for the last 50 years, which is lots of whole grains, lots of carbs, eat low saturated fat, and eat lots of pre-processed products. That's the fad diet, not keto.
이런 음식 피라미드 그림을 한 번쯤 보신 적 있나요? 제 어린 시절 기억으로는 교과서에서도 봤던 것 같은데요. 가장 넓은 1층에는 탄수화물, 중간에는 단백질, 그리고 가장 작은 꼭대기에는 지방이 있죠. 이것은 전형적인 고탄수화물 저지방 식단으로 우리가 늘 옳다고 배워왔고 믿어왔던 식사 방식입니다. 하지만 이런 식단이 권장되기 시작한 시기부터 전 세계적으로 비만 인구와 당뇨 환자는 급증했습니다. 무엇이 문제였을까요? 이것을 만들 때 국민들의 건강을 위한 전문가의 의견보다 이윤 추구를 위한 농기업과 식품회사의 의견이 우선적으로 반영되었기 때문입니다. 키토 다이어트에 대해 처음 들으면 뭔가 특이하고 극단적인 다이어트처럼 느껴지지만 실제로는 푸드 피라미드의 고탄수화물, 저지방 식단이 우리 인체에 훨씬 극단적이고 위험한 식단입니다.
The ketogenic diet is also very metabolically powerful. Now, what do I mean by that? The reason that we eat the low carb of keto is so that we can control our blood sugar and our insulin. It looks like the more research is done that high insulin levels, pathologically, chronically high insulin levels, lead to almost all the chronic diseases that modern man suffers from. It's from high blood sugar, it's from high insulin. That's what causes so many of these chronic diseases that you and your friends suffer from today. So that's part of what keto does, is it hacks your blood sugar and it hacks your insulin level and puts them back where they need to be. And I think that's the reason for that is because it's the diet humans are supposed to eat. The ketogenic way of eating also optimizes your leptin and your ghrelin hormones, and these keep you from being hungry, okay? The other thing the ketogenic diet does that's very therapeutic is that it helps you have ketones to burn. Your brain can burn ketones just as easily as it can burn glucose, but if you're eating a high-carb, low-fat diet, you don't ever give your body the good fats that it needs to be in ketosis. If you're eating lots of vegetable oils, which actually don't have any vegetables in them, then you're building your neurons and your brain and your cell membranes out of faulty fats. And those cells are bound to fail eventually. So the ketogenic diet is very metabolically powerful. The next thing is I want you to know is that the ketogenic diet helps your body remember that it can burn fat as fuel. So all the fat that you may have stored on your belly, on your booty, on your thighs, other places, what is that fat? Why is it there? Your body has stored that fat because you've eaten too many carbs for the last few years. Your body stores that, okay? And that's stored energy. That's all fat is. There's nothing magical about it. But if you're eating carbs continuously, your body doesn't have any reason to burn that fat. Only when you bring the carbs down very low and keep the fat high, do you remind your body, oh yeah, I can burn fat for fuel just as easily as I can burn carbs. Your body will kick back into ketosis and it'll start to burn the stored energy that's on your booty and on your belly. Now, the worst and most dangerous fat of all, almost no other diet can get to. You've probably seen people who go on calorie restricted diets like Weight Watchers, Flexitarian, Ornish, Jenny Craig, and they'll lose weight, but they still have that belly. That's the most dangerous fat of all. And the ketogenic diet is the diet that is the best at getting rid of the fat inside your belly, inside your liver, inside your pancreas. That's why I love the ketogenic diet so much, is because it gets rid of the dangerous fat first, not last. Another thing you need to know about the ketogenic diet is, like I've said before, it's very therapeutic. So many people with chronic inflammation, with chronic immune diseases, notice when they start the ketogenic way of eating, their inflammation gets noticeably better. Their arthritis, their reflux, their GERD, their heartburn, their Crohn's, their irritable bowel, all of these inflammatory conditions just get better and go away. Many people notice that migraines get better and go away. They notice that their ADD, their PTSD, their anxiety, their depression, all of these things, it looks like, are coming, at least in part, from inflammation. The chemical imbalance theory that you may have been taught by your doctor as a reason that you should take this pill once a day for your anxiety or depression, turns out there's not a shred of research that proves that there's any chemical imbalance at all. More than likely, what's going on is that your brain is chronically inflamed from the crap food that you've been eating, and once you start feeding your human body the human diet that it loves the best, which is the keto diet, all that inflammation will go away. Many immune diseases, although there is a genetic component to these, are kicked off and put into high gear because of the inflammatory nature of our modern Western diet. And once you get that diet out of your mouth and replace it with an ancestrally appropriate diet like the ketogenic diet, those immune systems or those immune diseases that you thought you were stuck with for life, your Crohn's, your MS, your all of these others, they just calm down and they quiet down. And all of a sudden, you're not having flares anymore. All of a sudden, when you do have a flare, it's a very minor flare of psoriasis or gout or some of these other conditions that are inflammatory and immune in nature. Another thing that the ketogenic diet that I personally love about it is that it's delicious. You get to eat thousands upon thousands of delicious foods that have grown on the earth or that have run around on the earth. It's a completely natural diet.
키토 다이어트에 대해 호기심은 생겨도 영양 구성이 크게 바뀌기 때문에 어떻게 시작해야 할지 감이 오지 않을 수 있습니다. 다른 영상에서도 여러 번 말씀드렸지만 키토 다이어트를 시작할 때는 식단 구성을 조금씩 천천히 바꿔가는 것이 아니라 딱 한 끼를 과감하게 완전한 키토제닉 식단으로 시도해보세요. 어중간하게 밥을 절반으로 줄이고 단백질과 지방의 양을 조금 늘리면 주 에너지원인 탄수화물은 부족하고 그렇다고 지방 대사가 활발해지지도 않기 때문에 이도저도 아닌 식단이 되어버립니다. 탄수화물을 완전히 배제하고 기름기 많은 고기나 생선, 계란 등을 메인 음식으로 하고 김치와 같은 발효 음식, 익힌 야채 등으로 구성해보세요. 소금은 제한 없이 드시되 당류가 들어간 소스는 주의하세요. 이때 많은 분들이 체중 감량을 목적으로 하기 때문에 메인 음식인 단백질, 지방은 조금만 먹고 살이 찔 걱정이 없는 야채는 너무 많이 먹는 실수를 범합니다. 키토 다이어트의 원칙 중 하나는 충분히 배가 부를 때까지 식사를 하는 것입니다. 그러니 자신이 생각하는 것보다 더 많은 양을 준비해서 충분히 포만감을 느낄 때까지 드세요. 그리고 나머지 끼니는 일반식으로 드시되 점차 적응이 되시면 키토제닉 방식의 식단 비중을 늘려나가세요. 저도 겪어봤기 때문에 쉽지 않다는 걸 잘 알고 있습니다. 하지만 여러분이 남은 인생을 건강하고 날씬하게 지내고 싶은데 지금까지 했던 다이어트로 좋은 결과를 얻지 못하셨다면 한번 도전해 보시길 추천드립니다. 이상한 다이어트였습니다.